Today we're taking a look at the verb faire, which means to do or to make. So this needs to go on the third page of your blue verb books. So your first page is avoir, your second is être, your third we're going to fill in with faire. So remember, faire means to do or to make. It has both translations. It is an irregular verb, so it has to be memorized, just like avoir and être. We cannot follow the regular pattern for an RE verb, even though our infinitive ends in the letters RE. It is the third most common verb in French, which is fairly obvious when we think about how often we speak about things that we do or things that we make. But it's used even more commonly in French than it is in English. This should be fairly evident to you if you think about the vocabulary that we did yesterday in class with the activities. There are several things where in French we use faire, where in English we would use go. So like, for example, to go skating, to go cycling. Okay? In French, all of those are do. We do cycling or we do skating. The one thing that faire is not used for is for questions. So anytime we ask the questions like, do you go skating? Okay, we are not going to use faire to be that initial do. We're going to do that the exact same way that we've done the entire year up until this point. It's already part of our regular verb. Okay, so if we're asking, for example, do you play hockey? Our verb for play hockey is jouer, and our do play are both in those conjugations. So don't just put in faire every single time you see a do. We have to think about the context of the sentence and about those three translations for our present tense verbs. Okay, so we have the regular present tense, I play. We have the present progressive, I am playing. And then we have that do version, I do play or do you play. Those are already in our present tense. So when we see those aren't faire. It's already whatever other verb we're using in our sentence. All right, so let's look at our actual conjugations. So here's our verb chart split up into our 6 boxes the way that it is on your verb book. Okay, it's up to you if you want to include your subject pronouns, go ahead and include them. But since they never move, we aren't required to. Our very first box, our je, is going to be fais. F-A-I-S. Je fais. I do or I make. Tu is also fais. Tu fais. You do or you make. There's no difference in between these two. Our third box in our singular column is fait as well, but spelled F-A-I-T. Remember that our tu form must always end in an S, and our il, elle, and on form will never end in an S. So even though there are several verbs, just like faire, where the conjugations are pronounced the same way, we'll always have a spelling change in between these two boxes. The entire first column is all pronounced fait. Je fais, tu fais, il fait, elle fait, on fait. The only difference is if we end in an S or a T. Our second column, we have nous faisons. This is an irregular pronunciation. We can't follow our typical pronunciation rules with the verb faisons. So we have to be particularly careful. I would highly suggest writing it out phonetically somewhere off to the side or perhaps under the notes. Okay? Nous faisons, not faisons, faisons. Then we have vous faites. You can either spell it with the accent circumflex on the I or without. They're both considered to be correct spellings. It's completely up to you which one you want to use, as long as you recognize that when you see them, they're the same word. Vous faites. And then finally, il and elle font. This is the one box where we'll start to see a little bit of a pattern forming between all of our irregulars. So we already had on and sont, and now we have font. These tend to end in that O-N-T, that on type of sound. So if we look at an example sentence, such as we do photography, Okay? Or in English, we're more likely to say like we are into photography. Okay? But in French, we do photography. So we're going to have our nous. We're going to conjugate faire de la photo. We're going to conjugate faire to match the nous. So nous faisons de la photo. The de la photo part doesn't change. It's just the do. Remember that faire is never going to be used for a question. Okay, so for example, we had the sentence, do you play basketball? We're going to ask, tu joues au basket? We will never stick the do in front of that. Fais tu joues au basket doesn't make a lick of sense. Okay? So you cannot translate these directly. Remember that language is not a code to be broken. It's not this word becomes that word. Okay? So even though there's a do at the beginning of this question in English, we are going to completely ignore that in French. Okay? And just move on with the rest of your sentence the way that we've been doing through the entire first semester and our first unit this semester. Finally, remember when stating likes and dislikes, which is something we're going to be doing a lot over the next couple of weeks, remember that the second verb in a sentence will not conjugate. So if I'm talking about something that we do, and I'm just stating that we do it, so for example, she does theater. Okay, so maybe she's in the play or she's in drama club. Maybe she just really likes performance class. Okay, I'm going to say, elle fait du théâtre. It's something that I'm directly saying she does. The action of our sentence is the doing of theater. But if I'm saying she likes to do theater, just like in English, that to do is an infinitive. We know that because we have that word to there. She likes to do theater. So my French is going to mirror that structure. Elle aime faire du théâtre. We do not conjugate both verbs.